Hey, Viking fans, Cy Amundson here, back with VEN's 2020 draft preview. We're going position by position, and right now I'm joined by Ben Leber. And Ben, we today are talking about the position that it feels like Viking fans have been talking about for a long time, offensive line.
This is the big one, man.
Yeah.
We're at the point where this is the position that I think Viking fans have been talking about for years. And the Vikings have addressed it. They have gone after offensive linemen, specifically center, and fans just still aren't happy. So here we are with a big position, and it is a position of need. And the good thing is, because of that second pick now in the first round, I think that they're in line for a really a high caliber starter that's going to fall them at 22.
And you sent me a list of guys that you love, and so why don't we jump right into it?
Yeah. Well, so the way I sort of broke it down to you, and I'll break it down to the fans, that I will preface it with this. You may think that either the best offensive guard or one of the best tackles, there's just no way that we're going to be able to get that player because we're so far down the draft board. Well, here's the reality. When you look back at the last 5 drafts, on average, at pick 22, you're going to get the third best offensive tackle in the draft. And you can get, and it's happened recently in the past, the number 1 offensive guard in the draft as well. And so just because you're at pick 22 and there are some really highly talented guys, don't think that it's automatically, we're not going to get that guy. Yeah, you may not get number 1 or 2, but as far as an offensive tackle goes, if that's where the team is leaning, then you could get possibly the 3rd best or 4th best guy. And in this draft, those type of guys are starters. So I'll start with there. If the Vikings are looking for a left tackle, the way that I have them sort of in order is Andrew Thomas from Georgia, 6'5", 315 pounds. He's sort of svelte, he's lean. He's 315 pounds sounds big. Yes, by weight it's big, but he carries it really well on a 6'5" frame. I really, when I was watching the tape, it was hard to find a lot of negatives about his game. This guy seems like he's the real deal. Like, he really seems like he could be a Pro Bowler within the first couple of years and an All-Pro soon after that. Was a freshman All-American, 2-time All-American after that. He's powerful. He plays with heavy hands. And the thing, again, that I think most coaches really appreciate, he plays with an edge. There's a little bit of nasty to his game. He finishes through the play. He just doesn't block his guy and then he just kind of moves on. He's going to block the guy all the way to the whistle and sometimes beyond. So he's got a great edge about him, a great mentality. He seems to check all the boxes when it comes to athleticism, and he's got the power to go along with that pretty lean frame.
Let's jump back over to Tristan Works from Iowa, because and correct me if I'm wrong, he's the first true freshman to ever start for Kirk Ferentz. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's something, Ferentz has been there forever,
Yeah.
and to hear that he's the first true freshman to ever start, it kind of blew me away. And I think it goes to show you how talented he is. Another one of these, I know Mike Zimmer loves these wrestler types. When you look at Elflein and Bradbury, both of those guys were wrestling champs in high school. And Tristan Works is another one of these guys that played at a high level of football, but then also transitioned to the wrestling mat and was a state champion his senior year. So he understands leverage. He understands hand placement. I think wrestlers naturally just have a good sense of body awareness. And you can see that in his game. Great overall, just like kind of lateral movement from side to side. So I like, Worfs with his makeup and what his mentality is to be a guard.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Let's talk about Austin Jackson, the kid you mentioned from USC, because the thing that stuck out to me on him is that he both comes from a pedigree and yet still has like this nasty streak to him, which you don't always see both of those things. Like, one thing you had mentioned is he seems to like excel as the game goes on and get nastier as the game goes on.
he sort of feels out in the first quarter of the game. He's just not going through the motions, but you can just see him sort of getting a feel for the edge rushers, getting a feel for the defense. And then all of a sudden, in the second half, it's like he hits another gear. And he seems very well conditioned. Like you said, he plays with a lot of edge. The guy just scraps and claws. He's not quite as talented as Andrew Thomas, but I think he has the same sort of makeup and plays with the same nasty that he plays with as well.
Last one for you. You put two centers on your list, Lloyd Cushenberry and Tyler Biadasz. Obviously, this team drafted Bradbury incredibly. I think the highest center they'd ever taken in the draft last year. It's unlikely that we would look to change course at that position. So which one of these two guys, since they're on your list, do you see having the best chance of transitioning into the guard spot?
Well, I like Biadasz's size a little bit more. If you're going to be a guard, I would like to see you, right around 6'4", where he's at. I feel like Cushenberry, though, is just a better player. And that's, I know that might fly counter to what the awards say, because Biadasz won the Remington Award for the best center in the league last year. But when I watched the film, I think Cushenberry is just more athletic. I think he gives you a little bit more. I think he anchors just a little bit better. I think he plays under his feet a little bit better. I think his hand quickness is a little bit better when he comes to hand fighting. So, there's something about Lloyd's game, and maybe I'm not doing it justice as far as articulating it, but I sort of just, the eye test to me looks like Cushenberry is the better player than Biadasz.
Excellent. Well, Ben, as always, this was as good as it gets. Thank you, buddy. Viking fans, remember we have all the positions up on Vikings.com. Tune in for more stuff as we keep putting it out. Thank you, guys. See you soon.